She was just the janitor girl everyone mocked, until a viral video exposed a truth that shook a billionaire family to its core. The morning sun sparkled off the sleek, black SUV as it pulled into the glossy front lot of Silver Ridge Preparatory School. Out stepped Brielle Thompson, 18, dripping in designer confidence. Her heels clicked sharply against the concrete as she flipped her perfectly curled blonde hair over her shoulder and adjusted her velvet Burberry blazer. She didn't say a word to the driver and just flashed a look that said you know what to do before strutting toward the students parted for her like the sea. Some admired, others envied. None dared confront the girl whose last name was practically branded across half the tech industry. A few yards away, Savannah Miller, 17, bent slightly over a rickety cleaning cart. Her worn-out jeans were stained at the knees, her janitor's shirt to sizes too big. She adjusted the rubber gloves on her hands, eyes down, invisible in the bustle of privilege. This was her everyday job: mop the floors, wipe the lockers, disappear before anyone noticed. But someone noticed. The SUV tires screeched suddenly as the driver turned sharply to exit, clipping a wide, murky puddle beside the sidewalk. The splash came too fast for Savannah to move. Cold, brown water slapped across her front, soaking her clothes, splattering her shoes. Her breath caught in her throat as a chill clung to her skin. Laughter, not just any laughter, Brielle's. She didn't even pause, just looked back once with a smirk and muttered loud enough for those nearby to hear. Guess someone forgot to wear waterproof rags today. The crowd of students chuckled awkwardly, unsure whether to laugh or pretend not to notice. Savannah stood still, drenched, humiliated, but her eyes, those dark, unblinking eyes, locked onto Brielle's back as she disappeared through the glass doors. Not with anger, not even with tears, just a quiet knowing, because Savannah Miller had just been reminded of exactly how far apart their worlds were and how dangerous secrets could be when they started to surface. Before billion-dollar deals and magazine covers, Richard Thompson was just a rising programmer in Austin, Texas, ambitious, broke, and falling hard for a waitress named Lily Carter. She wasn't glamorous, but she had something real, a warm laugh, eyes that saw straight through his flaws, and a kindness that didn't care about stock options or last names. They made promises, talked about a small house, a simple life, a baby. When Lily told him she was pregnant, Richard froze, but only for a second. He kissed her forehead and said, "We'll figure it out," and for a while, they did. Until Richard's father flew down from New York. The Thompsons didn't believe in figuring things out. They believed in brands, image, and bloodlines. Lily didn't make the cut. Either you walk away now and become someone, his father had said coldly, or stay here and be no one. Richard caved. He told Lily he wasn't ready. Lied through trembling lips that he didn't love her anymore. And when she begged him to stay for their unborn child, he walked away without turning back. Within 6 months, he was engaged to Vanessa Whitmore, daughter of a media mogul, and climbing the corporate ladder. But guilt has a way of lingering. Every month since Savannah's birth, Richard sent money. Quiet wires, no contact, no birthday cards. Just silence dressed up as responsibility. Vanessa never knew, neither did Brielle, their perfect blonde daughter raised in penthouses and prep schools. And Savannah, she never heard his name. But every now and then, Richard would stare too long at the night skyline from his office window, wondering if his first daughter had her mother's eyes, wondering how long secrets like his could stay buried. The smell of bleach clung to Savannah's fingers long after she'd scrubbed the last classroom floor. At 17, her mornings began before sunrise and ended long after her classmates had gone home. By 5 a.m., she was folding her janitor's shirt into her backpack, swapping it for a thrifted hoodie, before sliding into the back row of homeroom, unnoticed, always unnoticed. Her world was a careful balancing act. School in the day, cleaning shifts in the early mornings and late evenings, and in between rushing home to care for her mother, Lily, whose body had grown weak from years of exhaustion and untreated illness. Their apartment was smaller than some walk-in closets at Silver Ridge Prep. Its cracked ceiling and humming fridge a constant reminder of what they didn't have, but it was home. Savannah didn't complain. She didn't have the luxury. She studied hard, kept her head down, and fought to keep the scholarship that allowed her to stay in the school where girls like Brielle Thompson laughed at her shoes and wrinkled their noses as she mopped the same marble floors they strutted across. Trash in the halls, they sometimes joked when she passed. But Savannah never flinched, not once. Her silence unnerved them more than any comeback would have. The question of her father lingered like a shadow in their home. Once, she'd asked Lily, gently, curiously. The answer was always the same. He chose a different life. Baby, Lily would say, brushing Savannah's hair with tired hands. But that doesn't mean you're not enough. Savannah didn't know what that life looked like. But she knew what hers was made of: scrubbing, studying, and surviving. And still, something in her gut told her the truth was out there, watching her from behind some glass tower, waiting. The chandelier light shimmered across the ballroom, stars trapped indoors. Brielle Thompson, flawless in a silver gown, moved through the gala like royalty, confident, admired, envied. Cameras flashed, guests whispered. The Thompson name still turned heads, but halfway through the evening, while sneaking a sip of champagne behind her mother's back, Brielle caught something she wasn't meant to hear. She'd wandered too close to the corridor near the kitchen, where her father, Richard, stood with a woman in a navy dress, elegant, unfamiliar. Their voices were hushed but urgent. She deserves to know, Richard. You've hidden her long enough. Not tonight, he snapped. Not here. You promised. I promised you a secret, not silence. She's your daughter. Brielle froze. Daughter. Her throat tightened. She stepped back quickly, heels tapping too loud on the marble, her heart pounding beneath the shimmer of diamonds. That night, she watched her father differently. He seemed distracted, nervous. And then came something even stranger. While leaving the gala, he paused to speak with one of the janitorial girls by the back entrance. Savannah. Brielle squinted. It wasn't just polite small talk. It was soft, concerned. Her dad even placed a hand gently on Savannah's shoulder before walking away. That same girl, the cleaner she'd once splashed with mud. Brielle's thoughts raced. Why her? Why now? In the car ride home, she replayed the woman's words over and over in her mind. She deserves to know. She's your daughter. Brielle tried to shake it off, but a seed had been planted, one that wouldn't stop growing. What secret could her perfect father, the man who built an empire and gave her everything, possibly be hiding? And worse, what if the truth wasn't just scandalous? What if it was personal? The walls of the Thompson penthouse had never felt so suffocating. Brielle stormed into her father's study, slamming the door shut behind her. Richard looked up from his desk, startled, but not surprised. Her eyes were fire, her voice ice. Who is she? He didn't ask who she meant. The question was too late for games. There was a long silence before Richard stood, his shoulders heavy. Savannah, he said quietly. She's your half-sister. Brielle blinked. Once, twice. My what? He nodded, guilt crawling up his face. Before your mother, I was with someone. I left her when I got pressured to choose. I didn't know she kept the baby until later. I've supported them in secret. But I never had the courage to tell you, or your mother. Brielle took a shaky step back, like the floor had cracked beneath her. You mean the janitor girl? The one scrubbing our locker rooms? That's your big secret? Her voice sharpened. She's trash, Dad. She doesn't belong in our world. And if Mom finds out? Enough. Richard's voice cracked like thunder. Don't speak about her that way. Brielle's mouth fell open. I made a mistake, he continued. The worst kind, and I'm going to fix it. I'm bringing Savannah into this family, into what should have always been hers. Brielle's breath came fast, uneven. Her perfect world, her image, her title suddenly felt borrowed, contaminated. You're choosing her over us, she whispered. I'm doing what I should have done 18 years ago, Richard replied. She's not trash, she's my daughter. Just like you. Brielle stared at him, chest rising and falling, eyes burning with disbelief. In that moment, she didn't just feel betrayed, she felt replaced. It started with a single post, a blurry cell phone video, uploaded by a sophomore with 243 followers. Within hours, it was everywhere. Brielle Thompson, in her designer coat, laughing as a wave of muddy water drenched Savannah, the janitor girl with wide eyes and soaked clothes. The audio was clear, the laughter unmistakable. By morning, the hashtags were trending. Hashtag rich mean girl. Hashtag Savannah speaks. And then the real bomb dropped, an anonymous Reddit post claiming Savannah was Richard Thompson's hidden daughter. The internet exploded. Reporters swarmed the Thompson estate. Paparazzi camped outside Savannah's apartment. Protesters stood outside Silver Ridge Prep with signs reading "Money doesn't buy class." Under mounting pressure from shareholders and the public, Richard did what he never thought he'd do. He stepped into a press conference and confessed. "Yes," he said, voice steady but filled with remorse. "Savannah Miller is my daughter. I failed her. I let fear dictate my choices, but I will not hide her any longer." The cameras flashed, the headlines wrote themselves. Savannah stood beside him, not in a designer dress, but in a plain navy blouse and jeans. She didn't cry, didn't smile either, just nodded politely when reporters shouted questions. When asked if she'd be moving into the Thompson mansion, she responded simply, "No, thank you. I'm proud of where I come from. I'm just here to forgive the man who hurt me." The room fell silent. Meanwhile, Brielle became the villain of the week. Her social media comments turned brutal. Endorsements backed out. Even her school whispered her name with disgust. But Savannah, she walked out of that conference not as a billionaire's secret, but as the girl who never needed a throne to prove her worth. The hallway was quieter than usual. Students pretended not to stare, but their glances lingered. Everyone had seen the press conference. Everyone knew now. Savannah adjusted the strap of her backpack, head held high, ignoring the whispers. She'd survived worse than stares. Brielle stood by the lockers, waiting. She wasn't dressed to impress today. No heels, no designer bag, just jeans and a plain white tee. Her eyes, usually full of fire, looked uncertain. When Savannah approached, Brielle stepped forward. "You knew," she said softly. "All this time, you knew who you were." Savannah paused. There was no malice in her expression, just calm, steady. "I wasn't ashamed," she said. "I just didn't need to be seen to know I mattered." Brielle blinked, her throat tightening. "You could have ruined everything. Told the world first, made me the villain." "I didn't have to," Savannah replied. "You did that on your own." Ouch, but it wasn't said with cruelty, just truth. Brielle swallowed hard, her voice cracking. "I was awful to you. I didn't know." "No," Savannah said gently. "You didn't want to know." A beat passed between them. The air hung heavy with things neither could take back. Then, quietly, Brielle's eyes whirled. "I don't expect you to forgive me. I needed to say it. I'm sorry." Savannah looked at her, long and hard. Then she nodded once. "That's a start." The bell rang. Brielle turned to go. Savannah did too. They didn't hug, didn't smile, but they didn't walk away as strangers either. Just two girls born from the same bloodline, but shaped by different storms, finally facing the same truth. And maybe, just maybe, learning how to stand beside each other, even if it took time. The airport buzzed with the usual chaos, rolling suitcases, flight announcements, hurried goodbyes. But for Savannah Miller, everything felt still. Her acceptance letter to Evermore University was tucked neatly in her bag, along with the full scholarship funded ironically by the Thompson Foundation. A name that once meant nothing to her. Now it was printed on her future. She stood beside her mother, Lily, holding her tight like she never wanted to let go. "You sure you packed the meds?" Savannah whispered. Lily nodded, her eyes glassy. "You've checked my bag twice, sweetheart." Savannah forced a laugh, then swallowed hard. "It's just, I've never been away from you." "You won't be," Lily said, pressing a hand to Savannah's chest. I'll always be right here. Behind them, a figure approached quietly. Richard Thompson in a simple coat. No cameras, no entourage. Just a father, late to everything except regret. Savannah turned. They hadn't spoken much since the press conference. He'd kept his distance, respecting her space. I figured you might want this, he said, holding out a small, worn envelope. I wrote it years ago, never sent it. She hesitated, then took it gently. Their fingers brushed for the first time, not out of obligation, but something softer, something human. She didn't open it. Not yet. I hope Evermore gives you everything you've earned, Richard added. And if you ever need anything, not as a Thompson, just as your dad, I'll be here. Savannah nodded slowly, emotion rising in her throat. Across the terminal, Brielle stood alone, arms crossed, watching them. She didn't approach, just offered a small, genuine smile, the kind that wasn't for show. The kind that said, I see you now. Savannah smiled back, just slightly, before turning toward her gate, and just like that, she walked into a future she built with her own hands, finally seen, finally free.